Good morning and welcome to another Ask Andy, where you get the chance to listen to me waffle on about some question somebody's asked me, and that's about it really, but you seem to enjoy it, so I'll keep doing it. Good morning, Bowls buddies, always a pleasure, never a chore. Happy Friday morning to you and welcome back to the man cave that's been altered round, and I still haven't finished it, but never mind. Guys, if you enjoy this video, please hit that like button, and if you're not already a Bowls buddy and a member of this wonderful community, please hit that subscribe button. It's totally free of charge, and hit that notification bell for notifications of new content on this channel. Bowls is back with a bang this weekend, and I think heading the list of events is the Mel Edmondson Memorial Trophy being held at Ribblesdale Wanderers. Mel, of course, was the organiser of the various pairs events that have been played there over the years. There's a qualifying session tonight. I think it's 6 o'clock start or 6:30, not totally sure. There's a session on Saturday. No, ignore that. 2 sessions on Sunday, one in the afternoon and one in the evening, I think 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock. Another session, the last session, a week tomorrow, and then the final is taking place on Saturday the 5th of September. Not sure of the time of that, I think it's the afternoon, not 100%, but I will find out for next week. Also on Saturday we have a Club 12 event at the Railway at Pleasanton, so if you had a loose end and you want some bowls to watch, they will make you very welcome there. And on Sunday, and I need my glasses on to read this, it is the second week of the East Lancs Super League, and the games are Darwin versus Accrington, and those are being played at Two Gates and Rishton Con. Preston versus Craven, and they're being played at Frenchwood and Cononley. Pendle versus Rosendale at Combe British Legion and Gag Hills. Clitheroe versus Burnley at Ribblesdale Wanderers, and St Andrews. I will put that list up and you can read that to your heart's content. So that's got the bowls this weekend out of the way. Hopefully there'll be something on there to whet your appetite. If you need further information, please don't hesitate to go to Facebook and look for the Crown Green Bowling Competitions group. Everything you need to know is on there. So, got that out the way. So if you remember last week, I went through the first 8 counties, the players who I've played in county games, and sort of rated my top player and got a reasonable list. And of course I've not brought that back with me to have a look at, but let's move on to the next 8. And glasses again because I'm blind, and these are a bit trickier in some cases to pick the best player, just because I've played that many games against some of them. So this programme will cover North Midlands, Potteries and District, Shropshire, South Yorkshire, Staffordshire, Wales, Warwick and Worcester, and the mighty Yorkshire, who I've played against more than any other county, with a big 10 times I've played against them. So let's start at the beginning. North Midlands, played 7, won 4, lost 3. And I've had the pleasure of playing on, well, Camden twice, I think it is, and Bedworth once. So I've played Liam Bench, managed to beat him at home on Hotwood Unionist. Richard Bidette Junior, a minor or something, good win on Totty Cons. Paul Haler, I think he beat me on Dunlop. Matt Aspin, he beat me on Camden. Gary Houlihan, I beat him on Camden. Joe Hines beat me on Bedworth. And Ken Mason, who I think I beat on a green, I can't remember, very early on in the career. But out of all of those, the guy that's played the best of anyone against me was Joe Hines on Bedworth. He absolutely wrapped it, and I think from memory he got man of the match. I thought I played ridiculously well to get 16 when I saw some of my teammates struggling. Well, they didn't get double figures and they just never got to grips with the green. I felt quite comfortable on it and played really well and was getting bowls licked for fun, which was heartbreaking. And that was a semi. I think that was a semi-final. I think the final versus Yorkshire, North Midlands versus Yorkshire, I've just put on YouTube, and is one of my very popular videos at the minute. So Joe Hines wins for North Midlands. So we'll go on to Potteries and District. Played 5 times, won 3, lost 2. I think I've played all of these away from home. So yes, I've had a win and a loss on Florence Private. Last time I played there against Joe Williams, he just buried me. I was never at the races. Dean Ferris I played when it was underwater. Joe Melvin I played at the Birch's Head, and I've won 1 and lost 1 on there. Richard Burgess was awesome that day against me. I think I'd beat him. I was due to play him. Yes, he beat me in this county game, and I played him I think the following year or even the year after that on another green in a competition and managed to beat him. But he was awesome. And I think Dean Ferris arguably the most successful bowler on that list, and Joe Williamson played very, very well indeed. I was very impressed with him. But Richard Burgess, I don't even know if he still plays. I don't know what he's doing now in the game, if anything. But he was head and shoulders the best player I've ever played against Potteries and District in the county. And apart from my very first county game, that's my only other single figure loss in the county. So I'm giving the Potteries and District award to Richard Burgess. Which brings us on to Shropshire. Shropshire played 8, won 5, lost 3. Again, I think apart from one game, they've all been away. Darren Wellings gave me a bit of a hiding on, is it Boring last year? Never got to grips with that. Paul Williams, was that at Pontesbury? I think so. Rich Goddard, that was at Pontesbury. Paul Williams, I think that was Greenfield. Rich Goddard again did me on Greenfield. John Breeze, oh no, that was a home game, played at Patrick Croft, comfortable win. And then my first ever game for North Lancs was against Ian Roger on a green called Solwick, which I had no idea about, and I lost that. Darren Wellings played really well last year, and I know that I have a lot of time for Paul Williams as well. Charlie Cheese, is it they call him? I think he's a great player. But Rich Goddard is going to get the award for Shropshire. Always difficult to beat. I think he's a really nice guy though. I have a lot of time for Rich, and he played marvellous to beat me on Greenfield 21-17. I was playing right at the top of my game in 2000, and I had him dead and buried, and he found a mark. Played it well, got me wound up as well, which didn't help me. So yeah, Rich Goddard for Shropshire. So then it's South Yorkshire. Got a reasonable record with South Yorkshire. Played 5, won 4, lost 1. David Poole managed to beat Andy Sorsby on Davy Sports, I think it was called. Where did I play David Poole? Woodlands at Doncaster, yes, Woodlands. Ernie Waring, I can never get this green right. I don't think it's there anymore. Tricky green. I had Ernie absolutely dead and buried at about 17-3 or something like that, and then he got right back in the game. That was a good game. I can't remember what green that was. There's 2 greens there. I want to say Grimethorpe, but it's not Grimethorpe. Anyway, Jack Clark, 21-14 on Farm Road in Sheffield. Now, one of his colleagues told me on the Wednesday night that I couldn't beat him on there, which was just what I needed to hear. Ended up playing at Thongsbridge with Jack as well. And then Scott Russell, he beat me 21-17. I think that was at Grimethorpe actually. and I don't think South Yorkshire had a very good result that day. From memory, they'd cut the green the wrong way around. So instead of leaving it heavy uphill and shaving it at the downhill bits, they did it the other way around. So it was fairly even paced. But I remember Scott playing very well that day. It's a tricky one, this, because Scott, 1995 is a long time ago. Not sure if, I don't think he is still playing. But he played. He must have played very well, and given the other 4 are wins for me, although I think very highly of them all. Really, I've got to give it to Scott Russell, I guess, as he's the one that beat me. So Scott Russell for South Yorkshire, and then we're on to Staffordshire. Played 6, won 2, lost 4. Not very good. And I've played Chris Ward on Hammerwich, which is a green and a half. He beat me. Paul Evans, that was not a good game from my point of view. Mark Clayton, Mark Picknell, I managed to win on, I can't even remember that green. Mark Clayton again on Hammerwich. I've played Hammerwich twice. I think that's a horrible green. Clive Pittaway, where did I play him? Oh, that was on yes, that was on Mel's old stamping ground, Chadsmore. Played a decent game. And Glyn Storer, that was at the old GEC complex where I played that game. I don't think it was called that then. I think it was called something else. But yeah, got a beating off Glyn Storer. Out of all those, to be honest with you, apart from Clive Pittaway, everyone else played really well against me from memory. But I've got to give it to Chris Ward, because I really rate Chris, and he played a really good game against me on Hammerwich. Tough green, played me on a silly mark, full corners as you'd expect, and I only got in because I decided to change my peg, and I actually put it on the same road as the round peg, and it worked. So give Staffordshire to Chris Ward. I think he's a very good player. Wales, played 5 times, won 2, lost 3, so another in the negatives for me. Played Nick Hughes, I think that was on Earlham. Geraint Williams was, that was on some silly green or other. Peter Jones, he beat me on, I think, Llandudno Oval. Paul Roberts, I think that was on a place called Suckden, yeah. And Gary Roberts, he beat me on Llandudno Oval as well. And I'm going to give this to Peter Jones, who is not only a nice lad and a top player, he also makes an excellent pork pie. But again, he played me when I was playing as well as I've ever played. 2000, I was right on the top of my game, and I remember the game quite well. On Llandudno Oval, he put them very close. He did to me what I normally do to people, which is find a really easy mark and put them close. So yeah, Peter Jones for Wales. Warwick and Worcester, played 5, won 4, lost 1. Played Josh Hale at the Tally Ho, 2018. It was the middle of the heat wave. Every green in the country was absolutely screaming and brown, and you couldn't keep them on. And we went there, and it was like playing on a meadow, which suited me, obviously. Managed to win that game. Ross Dunkley, oh yes, I remember that game. 21-19 he beat me, but that doesn't tell the tale really. I think he had me 19-10 or something like that, 19-11, and I got 4 doubles on the bounce. Ben Harris, this was in a county final. Forget Me Not Bowling Club maybe. 21-16 I managed to win. Of course, Ben was only a young lad and up and coming then. He's arrived now. I think he's a very good player, Ben. Peter Davenport, 21-4 on the British Oak, I think it was. That is arguably one of my best ever county games. Never gave him a chance. That was in a county semi-final, I think. No, it was to go into the semi-final, that's right. And then Andrew Nuttall, a 21-15 win on a green. I can't even remember that game. May 1995. I was probably drunk. No, I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to give this to Ross. I remember that game. He had me blind on a mark over the middle, long middle as well, and he put them close, and he didn't give me a lot of chance, and he beat a lot of good balls. So even though it was 19, it should have been maybe 10 or 11. I don't think it affected the result. I think we got battered that day, but yeah. So I'm giving that one to Ross Dunkley, who again is a very, very good player indeed. So finally, Yorkshire. Played them 10 times, Yorkshire, mostly in finals, I think. Won 6, lost 4. So let's rattle through these. So Craig Gant beat me last year on Linley Bowling Club, 21-18. Dave Fisher, I managed to get the better of, 21-14 on Crossland Moor. Stephen Hurst, I got 15 against on Almondbury Bowling Club, which that was the nadir of my county bowling career. I've never ever had abuse like it from start to finish, all because I didn't want more than 15 minutes practice really. But there you go. It was premeditated and it was horrible, and it was witnessed by a lot of officials, and nothing got done about it. But there you go. There was a few friendships lost that day, I can tell you. Chris Mordew on Spen Top Green, 21-5. Peter Jagger, 21-13 on was it Alverthorpe? Yeah, Alverthorpe I think. Mick Robinson gave me a bashing on the same green, 13. Mick Cox I beat on Almondbury Libs. Mick Robinson, 21-20. That was on Ossett Flying Horse when the pub was still there. That was in a county final. I think we won by 1 that day. I wonder if my result had anything to do with it. Peter Jagger, 21-12. That was on Morton House, and I came in as reserve. That was my last game for North Lancs, first time round, and it was Peter's first loss for Yorkshire. I think he'd played 6 or 7 games up to then, maybe more. Never lost until he came to face the might of the Cairns, who had something to prove. And then my first ever game was against Headley Kettlewell on the Flying Horse at Ossett, again in a final, and that time I was playing for North Lancs and filed, and I got 17. Happier times, happier times. It's a difficult one to pick because I could make a case for any of these players, even the ones I've beaten. To be honest with you, I think you've got a current player who's very, very good, winning things at the minute, Craig Gant, very good player, teammate as well. Stephen Hurst has arguably been one of the most natural talents Yorkshire's ever had, and if he'd have took the game a bit more seriously and travelled a bit more and, you know, put himself about a bit more, he could have been one of the very, very best. You know, he won the All England at a young age, and doesn't play a lot now. I see him now and again at the Griffin, but don't see him a lot anywhere else. Peter Jagger, I bet there's not many can say they've played him twice in county games and beat him twice. Again, doesn't really play a lot now, has other interests, but he was very, very difficult player to beat. Mick Robinson, a legend, you know, left-hander, really difficult to follow, and one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. But even though it's one of my best ever wins, it's probably because it's one of my best ever wins, I'm going to say Chris Mordew, best player, one of the top, you could argue, 3 players ever to come out of Yorkshire. Certainly top 5. You could make a massive case for Chris to be in the top 10 all-time players. He's won that much and done that much. But despite him succumbing to the boy Cairns at Spen, I'm going to give Chris Mordew the accolade for being the best Yorkshire county player I have ever played against. So I think that covers everything. So I've gone for Joe Hines for North Midlands, Richard Burgess for the Potteries, Rich Goddard for Shropshire, Scott Russell South Yorkshire, Staffordshire Chris Ward, Peter Jones Wales, mainly because he gives me free pies whenever I go down there, Ross Dunkley Warwick and Worcester, I think he's a class act, and finally Chris Mordew for Yorkshire. So that, if you add them to the first 8 players. I think you have a decent 16 there. And of course I should have wrote those down, shouldn't I? And then I could have run through them all, but never mind. So yeah, that's the counties I've played against, the players I've played against. Feels like you were there, I guess. 82 games played, need another 8 I think for the big 1-0-0. Let's hope I can get there and start bowling and all the rest of it. So guys, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Monday vlog will be interesting. Obviously I'll run through various results and tell you what's happening on the channel and see if there's anything else I can talk about. Have a great weekend. I've no idea what the weather's going to be like, but if you're going out, take an umbrella. If you're going on the greens, stay safe, and I'll see you on the other side.